Welcome back to Headlines. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, in HBO's upcoming Harry Potter series, in an effort to be more diverse, they've changed the color of Professor Snape. I guess even Hogwarts seems to have been infested by the woke mind virus. Then, Governor Gavin Newsom is facing backlash after admitting that men competing in women's sports is unfair. You can practically see Newsom testing presidential campaign slogans in real time. I'll acknowledge basic biology sometimes, if it polls well. Meanwhile, Senator John Fetterman is baffled by his fellow Democrats refusing to applaud a 13-year-old cancer survivor honored by President Trump. We have the video clip. And finally, President Trump has announced a fast track to U.S. citizenship for South African farmers fleeing land seizures under a controversial government policy. They have a plan to take land from certain farmers and give it to the government. South Africa's Expropriation Act. Because when your country can't feed itself, the best move is to make sure that the only people who could do it leave the country. Okay, let's dive in. In the upcoming HBO Harry Potter series, it's being reported that Professor Snape will be played by Papa Assidu. I'm sure I said that wrong, but I did my best. He is in the final stages of closing his agreement with HBO. The Harry Potter series is designed to run over a decade. According to Deadline, this new series will build a more inclusive and racially diverse universe. It is scheduled to debut on HBO in late 2026 or early 2027. This gives you Potter fans out there plenty of time to figure out how to explain why nobody in the original books ever mentioned Snape's racial background during 7 novels of excruciatingly detailed character descriptions. This Harry Potter series will be true to the books, except that Snape will accuse Harry of getting into Hogwarts because of his white privilege. The Sorting Hat will come with a DEI officer to make sure that Hufflepuff has the right demographics, and the Marauders map will now include footnotes that say colonizer whenever Harry walks into a room. But other than those minor changes, it's the same old Harry Potter. Newsom admits that it's unfair for men to compete in women's sports. But don't get too excited. He won't do anything about it. Governor Gavin Newsom is facing backlash for comments he made on the first episode of his new podcast when guest Charlie Kirk asked him about the issue of men in women's sports.
So you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, right. that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out say no.
No, and I appreciate
but would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
After the interview, Newsom's staff has been working overtime to explain that when he said unfair, he actually meant stunning and brave. Newsom says that he agrees that men shouldn't dominate women's sports, so naturally, California will continue to allow it. Newsom's biology acknowledgement is clearly presidential pandering, right? In the 2028 primaries, Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom will compete to see who can hold the most contradictory positions simultaneously. The Democratic Party calls this electability. Senator John Fetterman criticized fellow Democrats for not standing to acknowledge 13-year-old cancer survivor DJ Daniel during President Trump's address to Congress.
I don't know why we can't fully celebrate. I have a 13-year-old myself, and thank God she's never had cancer, but I think that's something we could all celebrate that. And I think it was a touching moment, and like I said, that's part of the best of the American experience.
Democrats didn't support the 13-year-old cancer survivor because apparently they need a focus group to tell them whether to clap for children who beat cancer. They need to check to see if this conflicts with their platform on children surviving. It's being reported that South Africa is seizing land from farmers based on their race. Today, President Trump signed an executive order halting foreign aid to South Africa in retaliation for a law passed last year which permits the majority black government to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. Here's a clip of a member of the National Assembly of South Africa. Now, when he says they, he's referring to white people in South Africa.
who will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America.
This Expropriation Act of 2024 intends to undo the results of apartheid and give the government power to redistribute land. In response, President Trump has announced that farmers fleeing South Africa can come to America and receive a rapid pathway to citizenship. Nothing says economic prosperity quite like chasing away the people who know how to grow food. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. Turns out, expropriation without compensation is just theft with more syllables and a government letterhead. Thanks for watching Headlines. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.